I mean, not like paintball bad, but...
Today I'm going to give away a free t-shirt, bring you a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, reveal the books I bought this week, and, if I screw up, a blooper reel. How y'all doing? I'm Victor, and you are watching the Comic Hero Show. Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you from Clint's Comics right here in Monroe, Louisiana. Now, I host a very unbiased show, everyone who knows me. I'm very unbiased about a lot of things. But the one thing that I am not, that I am biased about, rather, is my faith. And, you know, with Christmas, this being Christmas, I am not ashamed, nor will I ever be ashamed to say that Jesus is the reason for the season. And with that being said, I made this, this is the third Christmas-themed Comic Hero tee. If y'all can see, this is baby Jesus at the very bottom of it, and at the very top is the bright morning star. And and also congratulations to the Sterlington Panthers. They won the state championship in Class 2A over the weekend, defeating Madison Prep. And I'm also wearing the Sterlington hat that I bought. And so congratulations to everyone. Congratulations to the team. Congratulations to Coach Jason Thompson. Congratulations to the coaching staff. Congratulations to Sterlington High School. And also congratulations to the entire town of Sterlington. All right then, let's give away a free t-shirt. All right, in last week's episode, I asked true or false. Detective Comics is the oldest book in print today. Well, the answer is both true and false. Now you're probably wondering, Vic, what are you talking about? How is it both true and false? Well, it's true in terms of when the first issue came out, which was 1937, but it's false in terms of how many issues are out. That belongs to Action Comics. Now, Detective Comics, again, came out in 1937, and Action Comics in 1938. But at one point, Detective Comics went from shipping anywhere between 8 times a year to bi-monthly. And then, back in the 90s, during the reign of the Superman story arc, Action Comics shipped weekly until the story arc was over. So both of those factored in to how Action Comics has more issues than Detective Comics. So everyone who has answered true or false, y'all are correct. And that would be 5 people. And those people are about to be entered in a drawing for a free tee, which starts right now. So the winner of the free tee for this week's episode is...
No family problems. I go into Dirt Creek, I ain't gonna make it in time to keep my
The person whose name I just drew happens to request a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight in this episode. Kirsten Miller from Bossier City, Louisiana. So congratulations, Kirsten. You win yourself a free Comic Hero tee. All right, here's the question for next week's episode. And this one is so easy that my friends Alex and Amanda Heckela, their son who they're expecting to deliver at any day now can answer. Who founded the X-Men? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in a drawing for a free tee in next week's episode. Now, back to Kirsten Miller. She requested a Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and this one featured 2 women who have a lot in common. They're both pale skinned and they're fierce. Representing DC, we have Harley Quinn, and representing Marvel, we have Domino. These 2 are gonna duke it out in a segment I like to call the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Welcome to the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Today, it's Harley Quinn versus Domino. Harley Quinn is a trained psychiatrist and a skilled gymnast who possesses immunity to most toxins and diseases and utilizes weaponized props and gadgets. Domino possesses subconscious telekinetic probability manipulation, enhanced reflexes, and is an expert markswoman. Who would win? This wouldn't even be close. Harley would start off by attempting to attack Domino, but the latter's reflexes wouldn't allow her. Harley would then resort to her gadgets, which would all fall apart due to Domino's probability manipulation. Domino would then end it by shooting Harley right between the eyes. Domino would then walk away asking herself, why folks even give me the time of day is beyond me. Domino wins, and that concludes this fight on the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed the Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown. If you have a Throwdown Showdown fight request for future episodes, contact info is down there. Alright, let's get to the comics I bought this week. Comic books I bought this week. Alright, first up is Totally Awesome Hulk number 13. Now, folks, your eyes are not deceiving you. That is Jeremy Lin on the cover with the Hulk. For those of y'all who don't know, Jeremy Lin is a basketball star in the NBA. He got his start with the New York Knicks, and things have been going okay for him ever since then. But in past issues, in which were all Secret War 2 tie-ins, after finding out about the murder of Bruce Banner by way of Hawkeye, the Hulk decides to take it upon himself to track down Hawkeye and kill him. And along the way, he stops in Austin, Texas, and he finds this other kid who can transform into this monster who feeds off of emotions. And the Hulk tries to beat him, but then we all know that the Hulk isn't exactly emotionally sound. He's pretty much a slightly calmer version of Bruce Banner, but not as calm as you may think. And it almost cost the life of a toddler. But then Amadeus had decided, okay, I need to keep my emotions in check. That's the only way I'm going to beat this guy. Well, he defeats this guy, but then he loses someone. His sister, Maddie Cho, had decided, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And this was right after Maddie had assisted the Hulk by sending both she and the Black Panther have assisted the Hulk by sending this creature into the negative zone. After they said, I'm not going to do this anymore for you. I'm sorry, I just can't.
I can't really afford to do this.
Oh, she's gonna find out the hard way. The blood is thicker than water. All right, next up is Star Trek Boldly Go number 3. Now, this book pretty much takes place right after the events of Star Trek Beyond. Oh, and by the way, while I'm thinking about it, in episode 141, which is the Comageddon episode, where I bought 39 books, I accidentally referred to this book as Star Trek Beyond. No, it's Star Trek Boldly Go. And so charge that to my head, not to my heart. But anyway, Kirk is now the captain of another Starfleet vessel. And then Sulu takes command of another vessel, but then next thing you know, they encounter the Borg. Hashtag resistance is futile. Alright, next up is the Uncanny Avengers number 17. Now, I'm still a little behind on this, however, I did get caught up with a few issues. I got caught up with the Hank Pym / Ultron story arc. And they ended up getting rid of. They realized that he was more Ultron, that Pym was more Ultron than he was Hank Pym, and they had to get rid of him. And the other issues are like tie-in, but I'll let you know what happens in them and in this issue in a future episode. Alright, next up is Supergirl number 4. This is part 4 of Reign of the Cyborg Superman story arc, in which the Cyborg Superman, who in the New 52 universe is actually Supergirl's biological father, Zor-El, had convinced her that he saved Argo City. Well, we all know Argo City, which is a city on Krypton, had perished along with it. But what he did was he ended up finding the corpses of everyone who died, and rewrote their DNA with cybernetics that was used by the same cybernetics that Brainiac used to save Jor-El's life. And Supergirl is very put off by this.
People that come in the store think the Will is my husband travels
I bet Cliff.
No, my husband.
All right, next up is The Flash number 12. This is part 3 of the Speed of Darkness story arc in which they encounter the Shade. Now, the Shade is a character that the Flash has gone up against before, and he's actually wanted to recruit the Flash into helping him overcome the darkness that once consumed him. Instead, he ended up getting a hold of Kid Flash, aka the New 52 version of Wally West. When the Flash and Iris found out about that, the Flash goes off and finds him. And he thinks that the Shade was still up to no good, but he finds out that he wasn't, or that he's not anymore, and he tells him that by the way, the Shade also got a hold of Iris as well. The Shade, it says that the darkness within that shadow they were all trapped in had consumed both Iris and the Shade's love interest, and now it's up to them to free them of the darkness that consumed them without killing them.
That place gives me a pain.
Kind of hard, if you ask me.
I went in there.
All right, next up is Action Comics number 969. This is part 3 of Men of Steel. Now, some guy who claims he's from the future had come to kill Lex Luthor because it was said that in a future timeline he was going to become Darkseid and take over the entire universe. As he and Superman try to fight them, but at the end of 968, these guys end up getting a hold of this guy and bringing him back to their timeline. And this is, I think, either the conclusion or the continuation. And then finally, Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps, number 10. This is part 3 of Bottled Light. Now, in this story arc, I need to go back before that at the end of Sinestro's Law. Hal Jordan decides to go up against Sinestro, and at the time, and he tells Tyrannic Natu, who ended up telling everyone else in the Sinestro Corps, evacuate everyone from Warworld. It's about to go down. So they do, and then they end up going up against Sinestro. Well, Hal does, and then he becomes the complete embodiment of the entire Green Lantern Corps, and he becomes a living bomb, and he destroys Warworld, along with Sinestro and the Sinestro Corps vampire Alyssa Drac. Meanwhile, they get a distress call from one of the Lantern's home planet. They get there and they find out that Starro had infected everyone. But once they did and they tried to fight Starro, he all of a sudden vanished. Oh, and this is right now I'm talking about part 1 of Bottled Light. And what happened is that he vanished, but then all of a sudden they tried to leave the planet, and there was a barrier created. And they find out that they had been shrunken down and captured. I only got one word for y'all: Brainiac. Only Brainiac would do something like that, and that's exactly who. When we find out that Hal Jordan didn't exactly die. Instead, he was, after the explosion of War World, he ended up ended up inside of the Green Lantern ring, and he encounters the guy who gave up his ring to him when he was just a test pilot, Abin Sur. Oh, and also the ring ends up leaving where War World once was. It ended up on the planet of the Indigo tribe, which is where Ganthet and Sayid are. And then we find out another surprise when Ganthet said the one word that we thought he would never ever say again: Torchbearer. Now when he says the word Torchbearer, you ought to know who he's talking about. Kyle Rayner. He didn't die like we thought he did. He is alive and well. All right, how many do I have here? 1, 2, 3. That's 7 I bought, which brings the total number of comics that I bought since December of 1997 to 7,624. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And here's the question for our free tee for next week's episode. And it's a very easy one. Who founded the X-Men? Everyone who answers correctly will be entered in the drawing for a free tee in next week's episode. Now, again, congratulations to the Sterlington Panthers for winning their first ever, and I forgot to mention that earlier, their first ever state championship last weekend. You know, it's one thing to, if you win a whole bunch of them, but there's just that one special thing about winning your first. And I don't know anyone who plays for Sterlington, but I know the parents of some young men who play for Sterlington. And if you're any of their parents, you're watching this, oh yeah, Dawn Till, I know you're watching this. You watch every episode. Congratulations and thank y'all for raising such great guys that go out there in the field and give it their all to win a state championship. You know, and all that great work paid off. And also, I want to congratulate Haynesville High School, Neville High School, and West Monroe High School. Now I know they played in the state championship games in their classes, and they didn't win. However, all right, thanks for coming. They didn't win, but to make it all the way to the state championship round is such a great accomplishment. Y'all shouldn't hang your heads in defeat. Y'all should be very proud of yourselves. Y'all had great seasons. And while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to go ahead and say this. And I'm probably going to have a whole bunch of folks mad at me about this, but you know what? I don't care. We need to stop being, as adults and parents, we need to stop being so conditional with our young people. I mean, we praise them when they do well, but we call them all kinds of names when they don't. And it shouldn't be that way. We should be encouraging to them instead of condemning them. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that we should, that everyone should be able to get a trophy because they participated. I'm not saying that. As a matter of fact, I'm totally against that. What I am saying, though, is that we should be encouraging no matter whether they do well or whether they don't. And, and it shouldn't have to be that way. Now, I've been around. I've been to during my travels. I've been to many towns that are like that, and I pretty much tried to say the same thing to them. It's like, well, that's the way we've always done it. Let me tell you something. That doesn't justify anything. That doesn't make anything right. We just need to be a lot more encouraging to our young people, and we just need to stop being so conditional with them in terms of that. Because let me tell you something, we have all screwed up. We all have, in many factions of life. I mean, I've screwed up, and let me tell you, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I have condemned myself because of it. But as I've gotten older and a lot wiser, I've come to the conclusion that it happens. It's not the first time, and it's not going to be the last. So, again, let's start being encouraged. Not just only to our young people, but let's start being encouraging to one another. All right, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. I'll see you next time for episode 144, the last Christmas episode of 2016, right back here at Clint's Comics. So till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero, and go Panthers!
Art books. One's put out by Yin, and I think the press, and the other one's put out by somebody else.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Coming to you for Clint's Comics right here in Monroe, Louisiana. Now, everyone who knows me well enough knows that I host a very unbiased show.
That's the good thing about y'all. Is Kenny don't like
Miss Morgan.
I think so.
You do right one for the customer.
Well, they are doing that because a lot of them are coming doing that.
All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this Comic Hero Throwdown Showdown fight, and if you have a request...